What you see here is a wall and floor set made for the Gloomhaven game. These were made from Hirst molds. The figures and interior accessories are not included in this project. This set is not difficult to make, but it is an expensive and time-consuming craft project. If you hate craft projects, then this is not for you. This project will take about 3 full weekends to make from start to finish. 1 weekend to cast the pieces, 1 weekend to glue them together, and 1 weekend to paint the set. This video will show you how the walls and floors are organized so you can set up a game quickly. Other videos in the series will show you exactly how to cast and build this set. Now I've got 3 different types of wall styles here that I've made, and I've kind of labeled them so we can refer to them. This one I call an F type of wall, and that's because the wall spans from flat to flat on the hex. This one I call a P type of wall because it spans from point to point across the hex. And this one I just call a pillar because it fills a whole hex. Now in setting these around your floor tiles, basically the F type that span from flat to flat, they'll go whenever you see a side that's kind of got a jaggy edge to it. So it could go here, or it could go here, or it could go here, that sort of thing. The P type will actually go from point to point, and it can do a straight wall going across here, and it can do a straight wall going across here. Now you'll notice that on these P type of walls, the wall is actually covering a part of the full hex on this side. But you're only going to be losing about a 1/4 inch of the hex that's there. And since these hexes are oversized, in other words, these are 1.5-inch hexes. And I think on the actual game board, they're only 1.25 inches or something close to that. So if you have a marker, it will still fit on the hex. Figures will still fit on the full hex. And you'll know that that's a hex that they can actually move to. The final piece here is a pillar piece, and it's basically we'll use to fill up a whole hex. Now some of these room shapes are a little screwy. In other words, this crazy little V shape here, sometimes you've got to build walls around the outside of it. There's a couple of options you have. Let's say if your room ends like this. One obvious thing, you might think about taking a shorter P wall, putting it across it like that, and that way you can just put the regular straight F walls on each side of it. Like say you could put one here, and then you could cap the end with a pillar, something like that, to close off this wall. If we could take another wall like this, we'll just drop that sucker in there, and then we can take a pillar and put it in there. There we go. See how we've closed off the end with that shape? That's one way that you can do it. There are other ways to do it though. In other words, instead of using the P type of wall from here, you could take one of these F walls at an angle, one of these F walls at an angle, and then simply fill it with a pillar type on the end there. That would close that off, and then of course you could put another pillar here and put another pillar here, and then however you want to close the end off, you have a couple of different options. Just basically filling around the outside area of the board section. Now in connecting sections together and putting a door in, there's a couple of ways to do this. There are usually 2 ways that 2 pieces are going to connect. One, they're going to connect point to point like this, and they're going to kind of stand apart with an empty hex in between. The other way they're going to connect is probably flat to flat in a configuration like this. Let me explain how you will connect both of these. In the point to point version, they will stay apart like this. And what you'll do is, let's say if right here they've got a door. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a hex, throw it in between here, and that is where our door will be. And the doors are exactly 1.5 inches wide. Then what we need to do is fill in between. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, let's say I'll maybe take an F2, which is spans from flat to flat, and it's 2 hexes long. And then on the back side here, I'll just sort of, let's say I'll fill it with a pillar. And on the other side over here, I can just put a pillar on this side, and there we go. I've separated this wall section like this from flat to flat, which is pretty easy to do. From that point, we can go ahead and fill in the walls on each side of it. So in other words, back over here, if I wanted to, I could put one of these from point to point like this, and then I could take and I could just drop another pillar in here, and you can kind of fill in the wall this way. The other way to do it is from connecting flat to flat, and that's a little bit trickier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these 2 together. They will actually touch, and then I will go ahead and put these 2 together like this, and the door goes in between here. Now you might ask yourself, well, how do I connect this? I want to make sure that characters don't move from here to here. We've got to block that off somehow. So that's what the P1s are for. That's what these little suckers right here are for. These go from point to point and they only have one hex on the bottom. So this sucker right here is going to push on this side, right like here, and then we'll put another one on the other side, which is going to go right here. And that will effectively block off and separate the two rooms, so you know that characters can't just jump from here to here. They're supposed to go through the door. After you put these on, then basically what you want to do is fill in the wall sections, which should be fairly easy to do. You can just take and put a wall section on this side, and we can put another wall section on this side. As far as this side over here, you'll notice that it kind of sets back just a little bit. So you can go ahead and push this back a little bit, and maybe we'll put another one and push it back here. And if you want, you can just take a couple of pillars, and we'll just put like, let's say a pillar here, and we'll just put like a pillar in here, and there you go. You know, we've closed it off so that characters can't move from place to place illegally. And it also frames all of the rooms. Now, by making the board by my instructions, you will be making 30 of these floor tiles. Now, keep in mind that the floor tiles on the actual game are double-sided. In other words, this particular one, I've only made one of these, and you only have one of these in the actual set. But in the actual game, this is double-sided. One side is grass and dirt, and the other side is stone. Well, I don't have that. But since you only need one of these, you can still play the scenario and just use stone instead of grass and dirt. Now, if that really bothers you, what you can do is you can cast extra tiles and make yourself a grass and dirt version of this. But, you know, you can make the set as large as you want depending on how much casting you want to do. But by following my instructions, you will have enough to make every scenario in the game, even if the texture doesn't line up exactly with what they have laid out in the book there. I'm Bruce Hirst from Hirst Arts, and this is Bum. He is the person who made the first Gloomhaven set out of Hirst Arts molds. That's right. And that was in spring of 2017. That's right. And you actually talked to the developer fella and had him send you the maps to do that with it. What happened is, after I saw the video, I actually called him and talked to him, and there were a lot of things that are kind of difficult to do with the hexes and trying to get the walls to work out. And since it was the game was becoming more popular, I thought that'd be kind of a cool project to do. So his work inspired me to make 4 new molds for the set. And what we're going to do here is we're going to lay them, we're going to zoom down on the table, and we're going to attempt to lay out one of the screwiest looking maps that they have on there, so you can kind of see how the walls line up and how much trouble it is to set up an actual Gloomhaven game. Okay, well, I've turned the video down so you can see this and only see our waists at this point, but you can see the box, and I've got this box lettered by A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to N, I think, which is the last letter on here. And only the first letter matters, because that's the one that determines what the actual shape is and how many hexes that are actually on each piece. So Bum here is going to read me out the letters, and I am going to lay them down on the board and see how long it takes us to set up, what's the scenario number?
Number 24, Echo Chamber.
Okay, 24 Echo Chamber. We're not going to give you any spoilers what it's about. We're just going to lay out the map so you can kind of see how this works. Okay, so what do we got? What kind of maps do we need?
L.
So we're going to need an L. L, we've got 2 of them. Do we need 2 or just 1?
Just 1.
Just 1. So grass or stone, you think?
This is all... Yeah, stone would probably be better.
Is that stone? Okay. Mm-hmm. That's... Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong one. That was L. I got the other one behind. So stone, this is an L. Yeah, there we go. See? L. We got that.
An A.
How many of those?
Just 1.
Just 1, and let me get a stone version of that one out. Okay, what else do we need?
A G.
What we do, we've got this one here. We've got this sucker right down here. We've got this little one, and it looks like right there. Okay, glasses time. There we go. And then this one looks like it tucks around this way. And then we've got a big one going right here, and then we have our square one kind of going right here. Now, if you'll notice that there are no square sides on this. These are hexes only. So when you're looking at the book and you're comparing it to the piece, you have to kind of ignore them and only look at the full hexes that you see on there and line them up as they're doing. So it looks like right in the middle here connects to this one right here, and this one right here connects right here, and then this one down here, this L, wow, look at this screwy shape, it connects right there, it looks like. Yeah, that's it. And then 1, 2, between the two, 1, 2, 2 and 3 right here, we got a block here, and then we're going to have this one right there, and it connects between there and there. And you know, one thing that is helpful is you can take these little extra hexes, and we're going to drop them in between, so that will help us kind of get those where they're supposed to be. I think that's right. And I think this one goes along here, right? Does that join up? Ah, yep, butts right up against there. Okay, the first thing you do is you lay out the board pieces so you can see them laid out like that. The second thing we do is we fill in with hexes. And I've got several different types of stone hexes. I'm just gonna, it looks, what is that? Is that a rock, or there's no door there, right?
There's no door.
So do you think there's supposed to be a wall between there, or do they step straight from there to there?
It looks like they step straight.
Okay, so in this area right here, I've just filled in this hole, and by looking at the map on the page, everybody can just walk straight through without having to close anything off. On this side over here, it looks like they can step through here too, right? Mm-hmm. So that one's fine, but we do have a connection between them, so we got 1, 2 empty holes, and then we've got a spot right here. And there's no door there. Mm-hmm. And then all the way down here, it looks like these two are filled as well. So let's get a couple more. And it looks like that's filled and that's filled. Okay, that goes there. And then down here where it connects, it looks like this is filled, but there's no door or anything there either, is there? Mm-mm. Okay, okay. Now at this point, it looks like I've run out of stone hexes, but I do have some other ones. I've got some grass and some wood, and we'll just have to make do with what we have. Or I could have picked like an earth and dirt one instead, so it would have matched up a little bit better. But those are the things you kind of learn when you get to working on this. It looks like we've got one that goes in right there. Right here, it looks like we fill in this hole that's right here. And let's get that in there. Help me out. I don't have long enough arms to reach across the table here. And then down here, that one connects and that one connects. Is that it?
I think
connect,
that's
connect,
it.
connect.
Mm-hmm.
Connect. Okay. That's it. So the second step is to put these in, and if you have doors, you can go ahead and set the doors on there if you want to. Now, the next thing after you set those down is basically put the walls in. And as I'll explain on the other one, I've divided these, I've kind of laid them out in groups. I've got the F-type walls, the one that span from flat to flat in this area. I've got the P-type ones, the walls that span from point to point on this type of area. And then I've got the pillars all down here, and the pillars are just to fill the crazy holes that you have no idea what to do with, okay? So what we're going to do is we're just going to start filling in. Like right in here, we've got a nice empty 3. So it looks to me like a nice empty 3 will just drop in there just fine like that. We've got a 2 right here. Well, that's going to be easy. I'm just going to find me a nice piece that's only 2 hexes long and drop it in right there. Now, when you get over here, it's a little bit like this one right here. It's pretty hard to do anything with. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to drop some pillars in there. 1, 2, 3, and when I put them together, I usually try to put the same style of pillar all together in a group. Just visually, I think it looks a little bit better. So we've got pillars there, and the next thing I try to do is these P-type walls. These are a little bit harder to fit anywhere because they span from point to point. So in this case, what you want to do is get rid of many of the longest P-walls that you can. Like this one, I think can just drop in right there. And let's see if there's any. Okay, we got one up on this end. Looks like that one would fit right in there. What else do we got that kind of works that way? This one I think would probably block that off just fine there. We've got another long one here, but I don't think I can use it anywhere particular. Oh, maybe there, maybe there. Ah, look at that. Okay, so some of those odd ones, if you can get rid of the long pieces first, that'll help you, you know, because you can't use a long piece in a short spot. But you can use a short piece in a long spot if you add them up. So that's kind of the point of doing that. Now I'm going to fit the other long pieces. we've got quite a bit of length here to do. So I'm going to put one of them here. This one right here, will that fit? Now, if you take a look, I don't know if you can see on this, the walls don't really connect here. Now, some people, that's going to just drive you nuts, you know. If it really drives you nuts, all I can say is you just got to let it go. Because trying to create all the pieces you need to make every wall connect perfectly, you know, you're going to go insane if you try to do that. But, you know, we can make it a little better. I mean, what we can do is we can put a big old pillar here, and then we could use a smaller 3 spot in between, and, okay, well, that doesn't look as bad. So, you know, you can kind of figure that out as you go. Let's see, I'm thinking I'm just going to put some long pieces around here. We've got a long one that we can go around here. I'm going to come around to the other side of the video here because my back is starting to... Okay, let's see, what else can we fit in here? I'm thinking I can just drop that sucker in right there. Any other place that's got... Oh, look at that, look at that. See, I can just drop that one in right there. I can take this one, I can drop it in right there. And we've got a little 2-piece right here. I think that'll fit pretty good right there. We've got a 3 right here. I'm just going to drop that in. Now, we've got a lot of wall around here, but, you know, we're still doing okay. We still got a few wall pieces. I don't know that we're going to be able to cover absolutely everything with wall, but we will sure try our hardest here to do that. I'm just going to drop that one in there. And what have we got? You know, we could put those on the corner. I don't want to get my arm in the way of the video, but, you know, I don't really like the look of that too well. You know, what I would probably prefer to do is just use up a bunch of pillars. So if we got 2 pillars there and we got 2 pillars there lined up, I think that kind of makes a little cooler back room there. Now we've got a big odd chunk right here. You know, we have 20 pillars in this set. And it's like, why do you have so many pillars? And the reason is because you have so many places where things just are going to go a little nuts on you. And all you want to do is separate one room from another so people can know exactly where they can go and where they can't go. Okay, we're pretty close. So we've got everything around there. We've got a couple of spots right here. You know, I could put this in there, but I'm not sure how well I like that. Let's see if we just run out of pillars by the time I get those things filled in. I'm going to use a big one here. I'm going to use a big one here. I'm going to use a small one here. And let's see, let's put a couple of small ones right here. Huh. Is that it?
That's it.
I think that's it. Okay, this is the way the map laid out. And this was number what again in the book?
Number 24.
This is number 24. And we were able to cover all of the walls around the outside, and we actually had this many pieces left over when we got done. So we had a few things left over, and I had not tried to set this one up before. And I didn't time the video, but that probably took us, what, about 15 minutes. You will notice that, you know, I got kind of the wrong color of tile in here, but, you know, there are plenty of extra tiles, and I only painted up 2 of each color. So maybe I should have painted 4 of each color. Something like that. And, you know, there's also this one, you know, might have been grass and dirt. You can always make more tiles if you want to have every possible color combination, but at least everything will line up and everything will close off all of the exits and make it easy for people to see where to move their figures.